Hello, my name is Clare Buckle. I'm the Secretary of the SOS Scientific Committee. I'm also an artist, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can draw the bird you see in the SOS logo, which is a Stonechat. So the really important thing is to not focus on detail to begin with. So we need to get the overall shape right. And we're going to start by looking at this angle here of the bird's back, because that is a big clue to its posture. One of the things that can happen when we're looking at animals or people is that we get too distracted by the face. So a good thing to do sometimes is to cover up the eye. So I'm just going to put my finger across the eye so that I can really focus on this shape down the back. And if we compare it to a 90-degree angle, we can see that it's a little bit more than 45 degrees. So I'm going to start with that and keep it really simple to begin with. And this angle really continues up through the back of the head. I'm not going to worry about detail like little fluffy feathers just yet. Once I get to this point, I'm going to put in a shape for the head, which is a little circle oval like this. See, it's got quite a broad head. And then I'm going to put in a line for the eyes and the beak, and the eye lines up with the centre of the beak. And once I've done that, now I'm going to draw this shape here. And again, rather than looking at the detail of the bird, I'm looking at the shape that it makes, and in particular the space behind it. And always try to be a little bit more angular than thinking too much about curves. Now when we get to this point, what we need to do is to compare the size of the head with the size of the body, and here it's about just over 1.5, so it's quite a small body, and it curves around under the belly here. And then the final broad marks we're going to put in are the shape of the edge of the wing and of the tail. So this comes over here in a little triangle up to the back, and then the tail comes out here. And underneath the tail there are these feathers here, the undertail coverts, and they create a little bit of a triangle shape in here. So now we've got the basics down, we can start looking at some of these shapes a little bit more. And one of the key things is how the forehead comes down. So the head is quite flat across here and then drops down into the bill. So let's put the bill in. And you can see that under here there's a few little feathers. But now we're going to look at some of the broader markings of the plumage. So we have the dark head here, collar, white collar on the neck, and I think this angle is a little bit more here. And of course the legs need to go in too. It's a good idea to draw the bird first, then the legs, and then whatever it's perched on, rather than trying to make the bird fit the perch. Once you're happy with the line, you're ready to do some shading and create some form. And you may want to just rub back some of the darker lines. When you're shading, it's very tempting to shade according to the colours that you see. So the black is darker than the rusty orange, for example. But it's crucial that you get the sense of where the light is coming from. And so here I'm starting with the shading on the belly, which is underneath the bird, and the light is coming from the top and the left. Also, use directional marks with the pencil to indicate the way that the feathers are growing. When you want a darker mark, apply more pressure with the pencil. Now we come to the eye, and often this is the part where the bird really comes to life. It's really important that we leave a little bit of space for that highlight of the light reflecting off the eyeball. And often birds have a little ring of paler feathers around the eye, so I'm going to try and leave that too. Now I'm going to do a colour version. What I'm going to do is use some tracing paper to trace my black and white drawing. There's no shame in doing this because you've already done the hard work of the drawing in the first place. Once the tracing's ready, transfer it to a new sheet of paper and you're ready to go. I'm using coloured pencils and I've tested out the colours on a sheet of white paper first, just to check which are the best ones for the colours in this bird. Often when people start working in colour, they forget to look at light and just focus on the colours that they see rather than the source of the light and where the shadows are on the form of the object. So it's really important here to pay attention again to the shadow underneath the belly and on the front of the bird. The other thing that people often do is to think that by making a shadow all you do is add black or grey. But a shadow is a darker and a less saturated version of the colour. So on this rusty belly, for example, we need some more brown in the shadow rather than just adding black. So here I'm putting down a more neutral brown as a base layer, and then I'll add some more of the rusty oranges on the top. On the head there's a mixture of more rusty and darker brown or black feathers. I'm going to do the rusty brown first and then apply the darker colour on the top and just leave a little gaps to allow the rust colour to show through. Shadows on white can sometimes be slightly blue, so I'm just putting a blue base down before I add a little bit of brown to give it a nice neutral colour. So now we're back at the eye. It's really important to keep the pencils nice and sharp, remember, for detail. And don't forget to leave that little white highlight